it any less true. So we're gonna have a mature conversation. So if I say something that may offend somebody, don't get offended. You just said I could say it. All right? And so I've been doing financial boot camps here in Mount Zion for about 6 years, and I love it. There is no more money than no other industry than money. And I do it unapologetically from an African American experience, because that's the only experience I know. And we have been sold, told, bought, done all the wrong things of our finances from generation upon generation upon generation. And we're going to talk about that in the boot camp. And so what we do today, we'll be doing more onboarding. Come on in. Today we'll do more onboarding, getting everybody acclimated. Now it is interactive, so you can talk back to me or say, hold up, I got a question, and I will answer the question. And then as we go through it as well, the reason you're filling out those survey sheets is we are gonna have a one-on-one. Everybody's situation is a little different, it's not cookie cutter. And I do realize most people don't wanna talk about their finances and other people. And I say all that, this is my information. Sean Young, this is my cell phone, this is this number. You can call me at 3 in the morning, I probably won't answer you. But if it's important, I'll get back to you, in the morning. This will be our email, finbootcamp@gmail. Typically, if I had a shorter class, I would have this to send questions. So if you have questions about your finances, or if you had questions or something I didn't go over, or you wanted a little more in-depth information, email here. And I'll keep it discreet, I won't give it out who sent it to me. There are no dumb questions. We are not a dumb people, we are just ignorant financially. But I'm gonna correct that. Y'all are my change agents. And so, I'm gonna give a look-see in this hallway. Whoever is here is supposed to be here, whoever is not, is not. All right, so we can dive right in, and like I said, if you have any questions, get into it or ask me and we'll make it happen. And so I do it from stewardship. I call it the other 90%. We do a great job in the body of Christ to teach and preach on what we do with the first 10%. Do I have a witness? Yes. But dare I say, if you don't get a hold to the other 90%, the kingdom ain't never getting the 10. Let's just be honest. Right? And so Hosea 4:6 says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. You have been sold, told, bought. You've been run amok, led astray, bamboozled. Plymouth Rock, you didn't land on Plymouth Rock landed on you, as far as our finances go. And so, as we go through our class, ask yourself these questions. What does God say about debt and wealth? 2, is there a need for what we do? And meaning, in 3, are these financial concepts that we're gonna go over and teach and preach from, are they helpful? And if you know your family, your friends, your coworkers, your neighbors, people that you come in contact with on an average everyday basis, if they implemented these strategies, would they be better off? And so my mission is to help families earn more income, become properly protected, debt-free, and financially independent. And what I do is I take an educational approach. I teach people what the banks, the credit cards, insurance, and mortgage companies know about money, but they don't teach us. Anybody know anybody work real hard for their money but still don't have enough to save at the end of the week? You got more month at the end of the check, right? And so at some point in time, we get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and here we are. And so I know a couple things, and so as they say, I'm gonna open the door and let everybody else in. And so this is my vision for me and my family. Proverbs 13:22 says, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children, while the sinner's wealth is stored up for the righteous. So I want you to think back to your great-great-granddaddy or your grandmother. If your house was like mine, we had a whole lot of love and not a lot of money. And Big Mama passed down to Nana and everybody else a whole lot of love, but we didn't pass on a whole lot of assets. So our lifestyle was a little different. So I believe that we are the chosen ones in our family. We're going to change that. Y'all going to be the ones to change that in your family, right? So we're going to start with today's financial crisis. The average household has about $16,000 in credit card debt. If you don't have $16,000, don't worry. Your neighbor has your 16. They got $32,000, right? Most people pay the minimum balance on their credit card, so say if you're 35, it takes you about 58 years to pay that off. So congratulations, you'll be debt-free at 93, right? Most of the time, you don't have the money in the account to write the check to make the emergency go away. So you go and you swiping the card to make the emergency go away or keeping up with the Joneses. And so then you have little to no life insurance. 95 million adults have no life insurance. So that means 1 in 3, and the other 2 either have the wrong type or underinsured. So I got that good insurance on my job. Well, let's see if your job decides to divorce you or you divorce your job, that benefit stays on your job. So you don't have that onus and that reliance on your job. You need to have that responsibility is on you. And so 100% of the time we can sit down with them and we can help a family out from an insurance standpoint. And most people don't know one insurance policy from the next. You're just going off what you had, Big Mama had, or what Mama told me to get. No emergency fund and no retirement savings. No emergency fund, but don't emergency always pop up. Hot water heater go out, baby needs some braces, transmission fell out, somebody threw a rock out the window. But most of the time, if you don't have an emergency fund, guess what becomes an emergency fund? The 403B, the 401k, or the credit card. And you swiping and getting further and further into debt. And you wondering why you got early withdrawal penalties and you paying all these extra taxes because that's not what it's designed for. Retirement savings. Average person only has about $25,000 saving for retirement. Retirement is no longer an age, it's a dollar amount. So if you don't have any money at 65, guess what you gotta do at 66?
Still working.
Walmart, Target, or Lowe's. And it's not just not a reputable job, but that's nobody's career path. I'm going to work for somebody for 30, 40 years, and in my golden years, I'm going to supplement my retirement, putting return stickers on your items. Their 2-check retirement is no more. You're going to work for somebody, and they're going to hire you, and they're going to pay you for the rest of your life through a pension, and social insecurity is not going to be around for most of us, right? So we have to do something different. Living paycheck to paycheck. 3 and 4 people are living paycheck to paycheck. So if I came into the household and took the next 2 paychecks out, it would devastate the family financially. And so I had to get some people that look like us from Africa to relate, say how real and how serious are those problems, right? So how do most people make their money? Most people make their money, this thing, it don't work on the TV. Most people make their money as an employee. An employee trades time for money. And you get paid based on the position, not the person. But at the same time, you may have somebody that works with you has the same position you have, but they take a 15-minute smoke break every 10 minutes. But at the end of the week, and you busting your tail and doing your job and going above and beyond the call of duty, but at the end of the week, you both get paid the same. Right? So you say, man, I can do this on my own. So you become self-employed. Doctor, lawyer, dentist, hairstylist, financier. And you do it on your own, but the great equalizer is only 24 hours in the day. There's only so much litigation you can litigate. There's only so many teeth you can clean. There's only so many people you can help. And so, even past that, everybody knows that little clown right there. They have a business. They have a system. So you think about McDonald's. If I said close your eyes and point to the drive-thru, and if we all sat there, we all looking at the counter and we're going over here, that's where the drive-thru is. How many of them is? How many windows? 2. And you said, where's the McCafe machine? Over there. How many registers? 4. How many working? 1. Still trying to figure that out. I ain't never seen all 4 registers working, right? Because it's a system. You can put a 16-year-old snot-nosed kid into that system. You've never seen the owner on fries on McDonald's. So you plug people into the system and let the system work for you. But the best place to be is an investor. That's Warren Buffett. An investor work, meaning you have money working for you 24/7. Money don't get sick, money don't take time off, money don't talk back, money don't have to take kids to soccer practice. Money works for you 24/7 even when you're sleeping. So what we do is we show people how to get from the left side to the right side and primarily get down here to be an investor and have money working for you. And so how do most people manage their money? We don't. Personal finance is taught at home, not in school. So if Big Mama, Nana, Grandma, Mama, and Daddy, and all your aunts and uncles knew nothing about finances, guess what they taught you? Nothing. Only thing I ever seen come across my mama's kitchen table was a bill on the 1st and the 15th. My uncle started an investment club when we got a little bit older. I still didn't know any of that stuff. Her emergency fund was her American Express card. And that's what I was taught. So I want you to think about it. Most of the stuff that we do comes with instructions. If you go get a phone, the phone comes with instructions. You go buy a car, it comes with an owner's manual. You get a vacuum cleaner, it comes with instructions. You go to work and get a paycheck, it don't come with instructions. And so we're gonna work on fixing that. So here are the facts of the system that we're in. The Department of Health and Human Services did a study and they said 100 people at retirement, 54 will still be dependent, meaning they gotta be dependent on the government or their kids to maintain their lifestyle, right? 36 are still working, 5 are deceased, 4 are okay, meaning at least have $1 million saved, they can retire and stay retired on. And 1 has generational wealth. They can pass on to their children's children. Now, think about it. So why do 95% of people fail when it comes to their finances? So let's just suppose we had Sean's Friendly Skies, Sean Airlines, and I said, hey, we're gonna leave out from here, go to Metro, and we're gonna fly out. You're gonna fly on my plane, I'm gonna take you to New York, we're gonna go see Hamilton. Everybody pumping and excited, right? And while we're there, we're gonna go maybe to Atlantic City or one of them Tanger outlets or something like that. But 95% of the time the plane crashes, so y'all have a good flight. Would y'all get on that plane? But we get on that plane every day. It's called a joke. So why do 95% of people fail when it comes to their finances? Number 1, you have no type of financial education. You are just personal finances are taught at home, not in school. You are just doing what you were taught. You have no type of financial game plan. A goal without a plan is just a wish. So a lot of times people are just wishing to get to retirement. But you have no type of financial coaching. Nobody is to hold your hand and take you along the journey. Think about even the most powerful man in the world. I don't care about your political affiliation. 45 still has a cabinet that advises him on domestic and foreign policy, if you all can see your faces. Let's say 44 had a cabinet that advised him on domestic and foreign policy, right? He still had somebody to advise him. LeBron James, he is the best basketball player out there right now. I don't care if you like him or not, I don't like him, whatever. But he has a coach, and we do the same thing, all right? And so this is an article by CNN Money, they did, and it has been updated. It's gotten a little better. And so it is talking about the worsening wealth inequality by the races, meaning if you add up all of your debt and you pay off all your, you have all your assets and pay off all your debt, this is what the average household is worth. So, Caucasian family, you add up the big car, the house and everything else, they're worth $111,000. Average household. Asian family, almost 70 grand. Yeah, it gets better. Hispanic family. Most of those folks haven't even been here that long. Almost 7,500. Can you guess who's bringing up the rear?
Wow.
Cadillac Escalade, big house. We look good and got 2 nickels to rub together. Average family worth about less than 5 grand. It has gone up. They're worth, average white family is about 113, something like that. Everyone has gone up. Now we're worth about 11 to 13,000. Yay, been updated last 5 years. So, it's not necessarily the programs and the plans we can put in place. And I can put programs and plans in place, and we'll talk about that. More so, it's not the plan. I have to work on your mindset. And you have to think about why you're thinking about what you're thinking about. And you don't understand why you think the way you do. I'm going to explain it to you. You remember what happened in 1865? It's a little thing called slavery, right? And all of our great-great-great-great-grandpappers and grandmas were all free. And the U.S. government came up with the Freedmen Savings and Loans Bank. So now you got this new workforce, and we have never been used to having any type of money, right? And so now we're going to work for Mr. Johnny, and now Mr. Johnny is paying us. And so from 1865 to the early 1900s, we took that money and put it into the Freedmen Savings and Loan Bank. And what happened is through that whole time, 75% of the wealth was stolen by white folks and Europeans. No. But what did that do to us? And we got no reparation, and we got none of it back. And eventually, the Freedmen Savings and Loan Bank went bankrupt. So great-great-great-great-granddaddy lost all of his money. But what did that do with us? That bred disbelief and mistrust of financial institutions and saving and investing. So now, when great-great-granddaddy went and got his money from Mr. Johnny on Friday, he turned around and he started to spend whatever he got to keep track of all his money. And that practice goes on today. We get paid, and as soon as we get paid, we spend whatever we got. Grandma took a little bit of it and she put it in, tucked it away for a rainy day. Or you put it in the folder of the Macro House can, and you put it behind Rex, King, Lady, or Spike's doghouse out back. Or you had the crazy Uncle Harold that was upstairs, and he had the TV that was always on static, put it under the mattress, right? But it killed compounding interest. It killed generational wealth, right? And so we have to get past that. So a lot of times when I sit down with people that look like me and look like you, they say, well, I really don't have no money. No, you had the money. You just what we call misappropriated funds. We're going to talk about that. So this is the black buying power of America. This is in the B's, in the billions. We spend 3.3 on tobacco, 3 billion on alcohol, 2.9 on non-alcoholic products, Coke, Pepsi, Sprite, etc. 3.1 on leisure time activities, 3.5 on toys, games, and pets, 19 billion on phones, 54% of all smartphones owned by us, 10 on gifts with money that you don't have for people you don't like, for stuff you can't afford, right? And so then you get into a bind and you go to church and you will give to the Lord and other charitable contributions. But then when the Lord ain't happening fast enough for you, you're going to gamble it away. The Lord knows my heart. Come on. Right? But we're going to look good getting there. We're trying to figure out why we only worth $5,000 because we're spending on clothes, $29 billion on clothes, and we got to get our hair did, so we spend $9 on that. And then most people aren't cooking like grandma used to cook on Sunday, so we spend $65 billion on processed food. Then as we get older, now our health care kicks in, and we spend another almost $24 billion on health care. And then they put all of the truth in the books, and we spend $320 million on books. Gets better, right? We are 15% of the population and have 1% business ownership. When a white family or a white guy goes to work, that dollar circulates in his community for 28 days. Asian family, y'all been to the hair salons and the nail shops. That dollar will circulate in their community for 30 days. Hispanic family, that dollar will go in their community for 12 days. We get paid on Friday, and it is out of our community by Saturday. So now we're going to talk about that dirty little B word. Budgeting. 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 At the Lord's house. So Luke 14:28-30 says, suppose one wants to build a tower. When he first sit down and estimate the cost and see if he has enough money to complete it. For if he lays the foundation and is not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you, saying, this person began to build and wasn't able to finish. Meaning you need to keep account of what's coming in your house as well as what's going out of your house. And so there are two fundamental principles on budgeting. That is the giving, that's the tithe, and stewardship. The tithe, that's the first fruit of the increase. God wants to place first in our lives and not the leftovers. And stewardship is the careful and responsible management of something entrusted to one's care. Don't have to spend a lot on the tithe. We all know about that. We're going to talk more so about stewardship. And so, 6 things we're going to talk about, and this is one of our classes going to be on budgeting. Number 1, you want to find out where the money should go. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to keep our receipts for the month. We're going to talk about where the money should go. And then we're going to gather all of that and figure out where we're going to get started from. And once we gather that and we add up everything that's coming in of our house and have all our receipts and all of our bills and what's going out of our house, and we add all that up, and hopefully we are in the black and not in the red. And if we're in the red, we're gonna make up some adjustments and keep up the good work. If we're in the black, keep up the good work. So we're gonna talk about that and get our budget in order. So you can keep account of what's coming on or what's going in and out of your house. Because you do that on your job. They got budgets on your job. You only can spend X amount of dollars and all that good stuff. It only makes common sense that you're a good steward in your own house, right? And so here's a rule of thumb, 10, 10, 8. You know what to do with the first 10. The first 10 is the type, the second 10 is pay yourself first on retirement and your own personal savings, and you live off the 80. Instead of living above your means, live below your means. And it may only be, that is just a rule of thumb that may change in your household. You may want to save more, but that's where I got the other 90% from. Make sense? Am I going too fast? Everybody with me? Yes. I ain't no nose, we gonna keep going. Bam. All right. Money management mistake number 1 is not understanding how to play the money game. Because we look at it like you're playing the game, and what generally happens to you if you're playing the game and you don't know the rules to the game? And we have been losing. So the first thing I teach people is what's called the rule of 72, or sometimes called the banker's rule. And it's a simple calculation to let you know how long it takes your money to double. So say you went to the bank and the bank gave you 3%. I know you ain't getting 3% at the bank, but let's just suppose. If you went to the bank and you put $10,000 in the bank, 3 in the 72 means that money's gonna double every 24 years. And so in 48 years, when you get ready to retire, you got $40,000. And I asked the stupid question, how long can you retire off of 40 grand?
A year.
If that long. And so let's say we double the interest rate, and so now 6 in the 72, same money, different vehicle, now your money doubles every 12 years, so now in 48 years you got $160,000. Can you retire and stay retired off 160? No. Okay. What I show people is how to get 12% through all the recession, depression, wars, ills of the market, putting your money in the global economy, aka the stock market, putting it into mutual funds. 12 in the 72 means your money doubles every 6 years. So now, same money, different vehicle, how much money you got at retirement? $2.5 million. It's all right to say it. This is why I asked the stupid compliance question. Which one makes more sense to you? A, B, or C?
C.
And if C makes so much more sense, why do most people have their money in a regular old rinky-dink savings account? 3 reasons. They don't know about it, they think this is a big risk or a gamble, or they don't think they can afford it. And what I do is demystify all those notions. It's available, it's affordable. I have access to all the same stuff where other folks, you gotta have $250,000. I get you started at $25, $50. Doing the same thing, same funds, and everything else. You got the same license I got. I just told y'all. Right? So here's the other thing. I want you to think about best rate of return you're gonna get right now is State Employees Credit Union. Savings account is 0.25. 0.25 divided into 72 means that money, that $10,000 is gonna double to 20 in 288 years. So think about what you got in the bank right now is gonna double in 288 years. Or think about it this way. Most people put their money in the bank brings the money to me, they get 2.5 off the money and give you 40 off your guaranteed interest rate, and you think you winning. You ever notice when you go open up a new account and they say, thank you, please come again, and they hand you a sucker? Right? You gotta laugh, keep it grounded sometimes, right? So think about it. How do you win a game if you don't know the rules to the game? And do the banks, the credit cards, insurance, mortgage companies, do they have any incentive on teaching you the rules? Because if they teach you the rules, they're gonna make less money. The bank is a business. Let's call it what it is. It's a business. They're in the business of making money. You put your money in the bank and they loan it out to do behind you on a Visa card, affordable home mortgage loan, or whatever. Personal line of credit, right? And then who benefits from learning these rules? And shouldn't we have learned this in school? We learned about the War 1812. Christopher Columbus discovered America in 1492. even though our people was already here. How you discover something? People was already there. It's like you came to my house and like, ooh, I discovered your house. Like, no, I've been paying this mortgage for a minute. This is my house. Like, no. But we should have learned some of this in school. How not to retire broke, one-on-one. So now, y'all are my change agents. Y'all didn't know it now. Now y'all, it's y'all duty to tell all your family, your friends, your co-workers, your neighbors. Now y'all know. I'm like Harry Tubman. I mean Harry Tubman. Free the slaves. I would have freed more slaves, but they just knew they were slaves. First step of financial success is paying yourself first. So you know what to do with the first 10%. Just suppose if you saved, you got out of college, you graduated 25, and you start saving $100 a month. And if it gets too hot in here, let me know, open the window. Or the door, excuse me. So if you put $100 away at a conservative 10%, from 25 to 65, you would have almost $640,000 to retire off $100 a month. So let's just suppose you said, I've been in school all this time, I'm gonna buy me a car, I deserve it, I've been sacrificing. And you put off saving and investing for a year, so now at 26, you saved $1,200 on the front end, but a year later you got the car, and now you start putting it away, and now you have $576 at retirement. So you cost yourself $62,000. Or you put it off for 5 years, you want to, fill it out and start working and everything else. And now, same money, at 30, you save 6 on the front end. Now when you get ready to retire, you got $383, and you cost yourself $250,000. But when do most people really get excited and start concentrating on retirement? Right around 40. So you get to 40, now when you get ready to retire, you got about $134,000, and you cost yourself $500,000 in retirement. So you have to ask yourself, how many $500,000 mistakes can I afford in my lifetime? And for my mature saints, if you're there, I am not saying you cannot get to $640,000 or even to $1 million. What I am saying won't be as easy as $100. So the whole purpose and the onus of this is to start early and pay yourself first. You have to be a bill coming out of your house. The first bill, pay yourself first. Retirement is not a age, it's a dollar amount. And they keep moving that number anyway when you're gonna get ready to retire. And who are we hurting by waiting? So let's put it into practical application. Proverbs 21:20 says, a wise man saves for the future, but the foolish spends whatever he gets. So in practical application, if you are saving in a mutual fund, whatever you're saving on a monthly basis, add 3 zeros to it in 20 years, that's what you got. So if I'm saving $100, I'm getting an average 12% rate of return, got a growth fund, $100 a month, in 20 years, that'll be $100,000. If I'm putting $250 away, 20 years, $250,000. 500, $500,000. Everybody with me? All right. Well, Shan, I don't know where I can save no money. I don't know. I ain't got no money to be saving. I just showed you the money is there. I always ask, what's the difference between those two Lexuses? But I need to change my animation. Go too fast. The difference between the two is that's the brand, that's the new, the 2018 Lexus, and then that's a 2013 Lexus. That's a used car. So most of us gonna pay all the origination fees and everything else because you want to get in the new. This is the part where I had fellas in a room and I would pick on one, but since I'm the only one, I will not say it. I look just as good in the used Lexus as I would in the brand new, right? The difference is if I got that brand new off the lot, I'm paying 40 grand for it versus I got the used one, I'm paying 20 grand. That one cost me $750. This one cost me $370. Same everything. That one might have the new touchscreen navigation. That one I got a knob. It's a Lexus. It's gonna look the same on the outside. Look right here. We're like, yeah. It's the same, right? So let's put it in a practical application. Let's just say you had the Lexus, you sold it, you were used to making that car payment, you said, man, I need to be putting something aside. And you sold it, you got a used Lexus, And now you were already used to spending the $750. So you turned around and took the other $350 from what you saved and you started putting that aside at $32. So for the next 20 years, rule of 72, you have $350,000 saved at 52, and we stop. Don't add nothing else to it. Let rule of 72 kicks in. So that means the money's gonna double every 6 years. So at 58, I got $700,000. At 64, I got $1.4 million. Putting the same money aside I was already spending on that new Lexus. So now you gotta ask yourself, was that car worth $1 million to me? Now that is an extreme, but it depends on how serious you are about saving and investing and where you are in your walk. It could be a place for you to find some money. Think about what we spend money on now. Bottled water. We didn't have bottled water 25 years ago. We had what's called a spigot. You go outside, boy, don't you come in my house until the lights come on, and then you go inside the house and get the hose or the spigot, and you drink it from there, right? Coffee. We had 25 cents on the cup for Maxwell House, Folgers, good to the last drop. Now we gotta have the Panera Bread and Starbucks, a half cap, decaf, cappuccino, caramel. Now that might caramel macchiato be talking to me a little bit. With whipped cream with the lid on so you can't see. I gotta keep my masculinity. But that same thing, get you a Keurig, do that same thing at home, or get you a coffee pot, make your own coffee at the house. Or wait till you get to the office and get you some coffee. Instead of you spending $5 standing in line to be like everybody else, save your cup, or they will send you a cup. I ain't gonna tell no names. You go in there, you'll buy you a Starbucks cup for every time you got all these mugs that's just bouncing out of your cabinet. Man, hey, how you doing, Tanya? I didn't even see you sitting over there. You had the thing up so high. Cable. Instead of you sitting around watching Empire, how about you cut the cable off and let's go build one? Right? So we were spending $300 a month on cable and all this other kind of stuff. Y'all know somebody who got a Fire Stick or a Fire Box or whatever, right? The Lord knows my heart. It's not illegal to just put it on the box. I mean, like, what are you talking about? Netflix. Cable, $300, Netflix, $10. You have to change your viewership. Maybe you don't watch it with everybody else. You don't have to watch it. You spending money so you can get on Facebook and talk about what you just saw when you can watch it a week or two later, right? Then you have cell phones. The only people who had cell phones when I was little were street pharmaceutical reps. And they had those cell phones look like they were doing recon for the Army and the bag. My mama had a phone that was on the wall, and I can walk all the way through the house to the other one, and all y'all doing is saying, hey, what you doing? Nothing. What you doing? Nothing. And the quintessential question, you sleepy? I ain't sleepy, but I ain't sleepy. Right? And when I had to get off the phone, I got off the phone. When practice is over, boy, be right here when the street lights come on. Don't move. Stay inside the door with your coach. I'll come get you. Because all they're doing is this all day anyway. And paying you no attention. We spend $19 million, 54% of all the smartphones. If you go look at, people are getting younger and younger on the smartphones. So instead of you getting the Sprint, the Verizon, how about you get Straight Talk? There's Cricket, there's Net 10. There are different ways where you can get they need to call you for emergency. You can get the little emergency ID phones. Save you money. There are different places where you can save money in there. All right, get hot for me, I'm opening it down. And so there are ways, there are ways where you can save in your budget on things that we didn't spend money on in the past. Make sense? So we're gonna find different ways in your budget where you can save some money. This is what I call the baby shower plan. Let's just suppose, I worked at Babies R Us at once upon a time, And let's just, I knew everything about Graco, Chico, and Fisher Price, Leap Pads, and everything else. Let's just suppose your girlfriends, your sorority sisters, your church members, your co-ed baby showers. Let's just suppose everybody came to the baby shower and they didn't buy all them clothes that I still got to turn around and send back because they're too small, they didn't outgrow them, or all them box of diapers I keep returning. Let's just suppose everybody brought $25. And if everybody brought $25 and we put it into a one-time investment for that child when that child was born, and you let it grow until that child was 67. Didn't touch it, didn't do nothing to it. Even at a conservative 9%, the child would have $400,000 on top of what they're gonna do for their own retirement or what they already saved. Or, let's just say you put it into a growth fund and we're gonna get some interest off of it. They had $3 million. Now you turn around, the child can retire off of 1.5. You take the other 1.5, roll it into a trust, let that go for another 20 years. You just got generational wealth. The interest can kick off $1 million a year. Touchdown, you got $15, $20 million. And it won't deplete. It'll just keep going. Let's continue. Everybody with me? Repair your roof when it's sunny outside. You want to have 3 fundamental accounts. Short-term, mid-term, long-term. Short-term is your emergency fund. The emergency is coming. Either you in a storm, you just got out of one, or one is on the horizon. You just have to be prepared. You just got to have the funds available to be able to write the check to make the emergency go away. How you do that is you want to have at least $1,000 saved. Most people got $1,000 on a credit card, so now you can replace it. How do you save that? What's the easiest way? Go to Bank of America or not Walmart. Don't go to the forest, Wood Forest. Go to a Wells Fargo or a Bank of America. Typically go to Wells Fargo. You got issues with Bank of America. Reason you're doing that is because, and most people that are here usually bank somewhere else besides those two. And the reason you go to those two is because those are national brands. So if you're in Bug Tussle, Tennessee, or if you're in West Pygod, Virginia, and your car breaks down, you can go find you a Wells Fargo or Bank of America. You can find a national brand, right? And then what you do is you set it up coming out of your paycheck. So you have your regular bills and go over to your account, and then you have 25, 50, well, however many 5 going into this other account for your emergency fund. And then you want to save at least $1,000, but really grow that to 3 to 6 months of living expenses. That's about 10, 15 grand. 10, 15 grand gonna take care of any emergency. And the other thing behind that is you won't be calling you, harassing you when you gonna pay you back. And you won't charge you 18 to 35% interest on your money. And you already got it set up coming out of your account. So we gotta get off the credit cycle and get on the cash cycle. And then midterm, you might have big ticket items like, I'm trying to save for a new car, save for a new house, need a new refrigerator, things like that. Cash is king. And then you have long-term goals. You want to save for retirement or save for little Timmy's education. So we have other long-term vehicles for that. And so becoming an owner and not a loaner. Remember we talked about, most of us are used to going to the bank, putting our money in the bank, and the bank is putting it in the global economy. So what I'm showing you is how to, instead of you renting the wealth out to the bank, you're an owner and not a loaner. Bypass the bank, you can put it in the global economy. Just think about it. When you need money from the bank, are they charging you low interest or high interest on that money? If you need it, high. If you put money in there to save, are they giving you high interest or low interest? Low. And most times they are renting your money out to the dude behind you on a Visa card, the mortgage, the car, or whatever. They are a business. So we just show you how to bypass it. Make sense? So retirement is a 4-legged stool. Most of the time, it used to be Social Insecurity, company pensions. That was retirement. Social Insecurity, they're talking about you're going to get 75% on the dollar what you should be getting by 2033. So I want you to think about it. How can 25% of 100% that already ain't taking care of your hopes, goals, and dreams, how is it gonna do you in retirement? And then 98% of companies don't have pensions anymore. So all the onus on retirement is all on you and on your 401k and your own personal savings outside of your retirement. And so now think about it. Most of the time when you talk to people that say, hey, what's the minimum I can contribute to my 401k? Or what's the minimum I can put into my Roth IRA in my retirement? And then you just have to ask yourself, do you want to minimize or maximize your retirement when you get ready to retire? What most people don't realize is the fastest growing demographics are 100-year-olds, meaning we are all living longer. The second fastest growing demographic are 90-year-olds. So we are all living longer. Think about it. That money has to last you from 65 for the next 35, 40, 45 years. Including, you gotta eat every day, including interest on top of that. So this is how we set up retirement. Step 1, contribute to your company's 401k up to the match. And that's typically 3 to 6%. Sean cannot give you free money because we will both go to jail. Sean does not want to go to jail. So you get the free money from your company. Step 2 is you max out a Roth IRA. The difference between a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA, traditional IRA is pre-tax, meaning you have not paid taxes on that money. Roth is after tax, meaning you pay taxes on that money. Apples to apples, long term, you make more money in a Roth and you pull that money out tax free. And you do that for both mom and dad. Step 3 is to max out your, if you're still trying to shelter taxes, is to max out your 401k, your 403b. Teachers, by the way, your 403b, we need to talk. Because most of your 403bs are getting like a fixed 3%. Did y'all see the rule of 72? Yeah. Horace Mann, LSW, they don't like you. I got something for you. If you have a business, if it's applicable, you have a business retirement plan, or if you're still trying to shelter taxes, you have a variable annuity, fixed index annuity. Most people aren't getting down to this part, oh, that's too deep in the woods. Most people are doing these 3 things. 1, if your company is not matching your 401k, skip step 1, max out a Roth IRA for mom and dad. You make more money long term. And then anything above that you want to put aside, go back and put in your 401k, 403b, etc. And we're going to talk about different investment vehicles. We're going to get to that. Y'all with me? I know we're doing a whole lot extra at once. So stay focused. What I do is I help people protect their money against taxation, inflation, and market fluctuation. And the number one nation we all are part of, the procrastination. Everybody is, oh yeah, that sounds so good. I'm finna, I'm about to. Man, if I just pay this one thing off right, you never get around to it. And so we're gonna get you started, get you focused, and stay at it. Money management mistake number 2 is debt. Debt is real easy to get into, real hard to get out of, and all of us have a whole lot more than what we really want. Would you agree?
Yes.
Proverbs 22 says, a rich rule over the poor and a borrower is slave to the lender. The slave master's name used to be Young, Smith, Hawkins, Jackson, and Jones. Now it's Discovery, Visa, American Express, MasterCard. Y'all pick on that. Y'all pick on that. So, the importance of a credit score. Until I can get you financially independent, meaning if we're going to go to build back Cadillac, we're going to get that Cadillac ESV with that rich Corinthian leather. Ooh, black on black, that presidential, that platinum series. I'm sorry. Back to the money. But if I go there, either he's going to take my money or he's going to take my credit score. He's going to go in the back and he's going to come back with a frowny face or a smiley face. Or I have to pay more interest than other people. And so think about when your credit score dictates your whole quality of life. Do you know when you will be debt free? Meaning when all your stuff will be paid off. Is that kind of important to know? Think about it. How can you hit a target if you don't know what you're shooting at? Do you know your FICO score? Meaning, do you know your credit score? And then do you know in your adult life, have you ever had control of it? Meaning, what can you do to your credit score to manipulate it to make your score go up? And we're gonna talk about that too. And then, has anybody ever tried to steal your identity? And if you're not checking your credit score on a regular basis, how would you know? I had a partner, he went to go, I can't remember, he was going to do something, but they ran, I think, getting another car. And they went to go pull his credit and found out he had a house in Tennessee. Yet he had never been to Tennessee. Identity theft. And what most people don't realize, it dictates your whole quality of life. Where you live, how much you're gonna pay when you get there, if you get approved for the car, approved for the apartment, approved for the house. And 9 times out of 10, your job is checking your credit score to see if you're a responsible person to put you in line for the next promotion. Code breaking. And the importance of a credit score, just raising your credit score from a 620 to a 720, you can save on average about $5,000 a year. So you think about doing that over the course of a decade, you save $51,000. How we do that? Little thing called debt stacking. They had debt snowball, we got debt stacking. It's the same thing. The long and short of it is pay your smallest bill first. And so this is Andre. Andre worked with my mom in community and schools, and he started at 39 in 2010. He had another company outside of working in community schools. He had like an adult daycare. And what he did was he had credit cards, retail cars. He got like a 15-passenger van to drive his clients around. So all in all, he was paying about $3,000 a month. Off that retail card, he's paying $220. So once that retail card is paid off, still pay all your bills. Once that retail card is paid